All right, Pete. This is all just for you. All right, everyone all ready? All right. Call the meeting to order. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Pittsfield Town Council for Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. I'd like to start the meeting by inviting everyone to stand up and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. So, before I ask for a moment of silence, I'm sure everyone is aware that recently our former chief of police, Pete Bickmore, passed away from his struggle with cancer. Very sad time for the town and for me personally, because I called him a friend. So I would ask that we could spend a moment to consider. Thank you all very much. So let's move right on to number 2, please. The adoption of minutes. We're going to meeting held on July 11th, 2023. I will look for a motion from council, please.
Move we accept the minutes of the regular meeting of July 11th, 2023.
Second. Moving to second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments, council? Very well. Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the minutes of the regular meeting held on July 11, 2023, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The minutes of the regular meeting, July 11, 2023, have been approved. Move on to number 3, presentations, congratulations, and introductions. Catherine, if you would, the Economic Community Development Projects, please.
Yes, thank you. On Economic and Community Development Projects, I wanted to provide you with an update on the Pittsfield PPI project, which is the planning study funded by the state of Maine partially. The study team and client team conducted a site visit on Friday, July 7th. That was the rescheduled meeting. One of the hottest days of the year, but not the hottest so far, but very hot. We were out there for 2.5 hours to 3 hours. Walked the project. The largest attendance we've had from Maine DOT was there, including the U.S. DOT, which is great, not just Maine, but also the U.S., and that was very helpful, as well as their safety compliance officer. So during that visit, the items that we went over were as follows. Safety improvements that could be made for vehicles, bikes, and pedestrians. Discuss the importance of pedestrian and bicycle connections to key destinations so that people could get into town and out of town and go to all the parks safely within the study area, and that would include the schools. We identified areas where there were higher than normal vehicle crashes have occurred, and luckily we haven't had many vehicle crashes in that area. We're talking about the increased scope, not just Main Street, but the whole area up to North Main Street. The area down to the school, Manson Park, and the parks around Hopdown and Stein. We discussed redevelopment and visioning opportunities for the downtown village area. The firm presented ideas for improvements to the North Main Street and Madawaska Avenue intersection, which is a strange one. Everybody remarked on perhaps we can move that so it would be more conducive to the traffic and also to reduce danger. Discuss Manson Park, its value to the community, how its presence could be enhanced for travelers along Main Street, maybe moving roads was discussed, as well as some other traffic items. discuss the ongoing DOT Main Street rehabilitation project, which we found from all the DOT people there that some of them had a different opinion on how it was going to be coming out. And there were some changes made that we didn't get a copy of the plan of. So that all needs to be looked at, and that is now on hold. But there has been some plans that were created that we should get a copy of after the ones that we were given at the last meeting with that division of DOT. The removal of the concrete slab was discussed. This is the first time that anyone from DOT has mentioned taking the concrete out of the road, which would be very good if it could be afforded by pulverizing it. Because right now, hooking in is an astronomical difficulty. You can't get permission. If you did, it would cost too much money. And so people have run their sewer lines and water lines in strange ways to get to the closest hookup, which we have allowed because of the concrete. Talked about collaboration with the Main Street, different groups, including Maine Central Institute with their campus redevelopment master plan. They're still working on that. They have quite a few ideas, so we need to coordinate with them. And considered access and trailhead accommodations for snowmobiles, ATVs, and other types of vehicles. And right now, different locations have been set up in town that have worked as well as they can. But if we're going to make changes to the area, we should incorporate everything. So, in terms of current activities, the firm Gorilla Palmer is working on data collection, development of base mapping, and they've begun to prepare initial conceptual layouts for the corridor. So they're going to be putting together a detailed study work plan, because I've asked for what the steps are beyond what's in the grant application, what the timetable will be, and how we'll finish on time, which is supposed to be February of 2024, so that then if it works out, a RISE grant would be applied for some of the road work. We did find out that water and sewer is not included in that, so we would have to find the water and sewer at the federal level, so there'll be time to work on that. We are only eligible for a certain amount of items, usually the clean water, which is the sewer. We do much better with the applications. The drinking water is more difficult. But this sounded very good, and we will get a detailed work plan for the committee and the counselors and the staff, so we can plot this out for the future. So that's the first item, and then the second item is very exciting. It's not 100%, but it is very close. We were contacted by the United States Senator Collins regarding the request for funding to upgrade the town's water infrastructure, and with her support and other people's support, Angus King's, $1,056,000 has been included in the request for fiscal year 2024 Interior and Environmental Appropriations Bill. So this came in last week. We're getting some clarification on timing. I haven't received that back yet, but this is astronomical for the town. A lot of projects did not make it. We still need to have reconciliation because the House of Representatives is considering a different list, and the Senate has their list that they voted on. But this is a huge development. If this was approved, we would get the $1,056,000 in 2024, likely between July and October of next year, but we'll get that. That's part of the timing question that we asked. And that would save the town over $700,000 in interest, so $1.7 million would be saved. And the interest rates continue to go up. That is on the best Maine Municipal Bond Bank program we're eligible for. It probably would be higher next year because the interest rates are now starting to go up. So that was wonderful news. We'll get some updates on the timing estimate and we'll get that to you. But that was one of those projects that we threw together and ran all around for a week to get together, and has worked so far. Thank you.
All right, Catherine, thank you very much. This is excellent news. I have a copy of the letter if anyone wants to take a look at it. from Mike Ray from Senator Collins' office, so it's excellent news. So we will skip number 4 for public hearings. There are none scheduled, and move on to number 5, reports. Council committees, Finance Committee, any report?
Report.
Ordinance Committee,
Report.
no report. Catherine, if you want to provide the updates for the Plan and Parks, Recreation, and Recycling, please.
Yes, very good. The planning board will hold a regular meeting on August 14, 2023 at 7 o'clock p.m. They would be reviewing a site plan review application for one of the solar projects. This would be one of Jim Road's projects that would be reapplied for and likely sold to an investor. There also would be a conditional use permit that would be reviewed. We have a gentleman who's experienced with mobile home parks and subdivisions, and Mr. Ames is working on an application for preliminary approval, the first approval for a project off Route 2. So hopefully he'll get his paperwork together and we'll have a meeting on August 14th. I'm also checking to make sure we'll have a quorum because it is summer and sometimes that is difficult. We might have to move the meeting to a different date.
Catherine, I'm sorry, what's the date?
It is August 14th. So the second Monday of each month is usually a planning board meeting for their application.
And it's 7 p.m.?
7 o'clock, yes. That works good for them. And I'd also note, recycling likely will not be meeting, but we will be working on some projects such as videos. And other groups like Parks and Recreation are very busy with their different activities, because this is the busy summer schedule and planning out fall schedule. I would note too that the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation, it's fine with the council, I'll just put that one in here too. For the future. They will be meeting on August 17th, which is a Thursday, at 4 o'clock p.m. Topics will be the current inventory that's available in town, which isn't much, but there are a few things, and probably things that we could assist people with to bring to market, so we would have the inventory. The website, and we'll talk about an RFP for that, and dealing with the current contractor, and going out to bid to get some other proposals. That does take a bit of time, and setting up a new website too, as well as discussion of the economic development plan and some handouts. Thank you.
All right, Catherine, thank you very much. So if you wanted to hit the highlights of the town meeting.
Yeah, I'll do just highlights. Paving has already started with Northeast Paving for the 2023 paving contract that they were awarded. They got the paperwork back really quickly, which was great. And because we had bid a little bit more on the amount of the inches on several roads, we believe from looking over the quotation that we can likely keep get most of the roads done, if not all of them, within budget. Dogtown Road was removed from the list, and Eagle Road and Mount Road will receive a surface coat. Surface coat will be put on first, and then the paving of the other roads after that. The sewer system background on the roads that were chosen for the 2023 paving. We had these cleared with all of our associates from their knowledge and the sewer flow study that they had previously in 2009-10, as well as work that they had done with some of the roads. So Dobson, Harriet Street, and Livingston Street have been cleared, as well as Sebastopol Mill, Waverly, Libbey, and Manson Street. We didn't have formal reviews of some of the roads, so those were formally reviewed with camera study to update. So Sebastopol was cleared, Mill was cleared, Waverly was cleared, Libbey was cleared, and Manson was cleared, which is very good. So they all the associates gave their approval to go forward with those ones. Both Public Works trucks and loans were approved. We did have to redo one page, but that fits in the bond package with the attorney. However, that did not hold up the issuance of the money. The bank was very helpful. Airport hangar and taxiway project, that's on the agenda, and you have a new diagram, and in fact, the diagram that got updated today, which is on the table if you need a larger one to look at than the one that I sent out last night. I also put in the town manager's report on the general assistance that's been spent through 6/30/2023, and it just continues on here. Property tax programs, the LD property tax stabilization that was talked about, to be a program for the seniors to assist them, was sunset for 2024. So 2023's values are froze, but then there's nothing beyond that. So the state has pointed out some of the other programs that are available, and that could be brought back. There's been discussion about bringing it back. It isn't even going forward at this point. Code enforcement, Al Tempester is giving up one of his days in one of the towns to work with the town of Corona, a little bit more in the town of Pittsfield, so hopefully we'll get more hours, which would be great. In addition to the lawsuit that's going forward, or the ADD complaint that's going forward on Webb Road, we're also working on Washington Street, as well as the property across from MCI, and Somerset Avenue with the elderly gentleman that owns the house that needs considerable work. And we also will be tackling the former Pittsfield Pizzeria location across from the town office. I understand this is a severe problem there, but the property owner simply got to do some work, do something there. So we'll tackle that one too. Library director interviews for the second, the reopened position. Second interviews will be concluded this week, and then we have a new application, so we'll see where that will go. We had fun with Fox News on the media coverage. That was interesting, how things can change from the list of items that we had been proposed to us for the coverage back on July 14th when they came to town, but it was kind of fun. And records retention and disposition project, we've made some headway. You don't see any boxes here. They are put away, but there are many more boxes that need to be worked on. I don't even want to tell you how many boxes are in the building here. But we will continue to work on this and make headway. And that's all I have. Oh, I also should note that we will have a department head meeting on August 17th. At 9:00 a.m. and we'll be discussing the capital projects for 2023 and progress on completing those. Capital project bids that should be going out to put together budget proposals for 2024. How to fill out our time sheets and items to watch out for, as well as the reimbursement forms and making sure those are filled out. If people are going to file for reimbursement, and then safety audits, which are very important. So that will be a full meeting, and Howard has been invited to attend. He's attended one already. Thank you.
All right, Catherine, thank you very much. So let's move on to old business.
Mike, can
Yes.
I ask Catherine a question real quick?
Yes, sir. Certainly.
Sorry. Just a quick question on the paving. So these streets are to be done or able to be done in addition to the surface coat on all the roads that had the binder coat last year?
As long as we have enough tonnage, and it appears we'll have enough to do most of them.
But we're going to handle all of the ones that had the binder
Yes.
coat first,
Those
and then
are
these
all.
are in addition to.
Yeah, all
Okay,
right.
perfect. That's what I wanted to make
The
sure.
mountain road got left off with that,
Right. Okay.
and that has been rectified. We've noticed that some of the roads that we're going to put an inch of paving on, I noticed that the tonnage was way high, and I said, I don't know, I guess I'm figuring the math out wrong. Me and Jerry threw back some numbers, and I went back to Northeast Paving, and some of the roads that were an inch, they bid them all at an inch and a half.
Oh.
So that was great. Allowed that overage that they had bid on will go on to the mountain road, and will be hopefully maintain our roads.
Excellent.
The list.
So
Great
the-
job.
How did Dave and Pike make the same mistake? Because they were pretty close number-wise.
Actually, Pike didn't make a mistake. They did bid it at the 1 inch on those roads. They bid it high because they are booked with work. No difference in Northeast paving. They've both taken on more work than they probably can.
So their tonnage, so on the bid docs, their tonnages were different?
They were, yeah, you notice difference on some of the roads, so, yeah. That's what kind of keyed me into it. I said, something's not right. My numbers, Pike's numbers, Northeast numbers are all different. We all use the same formula, so I think some of them read the document wrong, I read the document, so they did it an inch and a half instead of an inch.
Hey, great catch by you. Great catch.
Well, we were talking about cutting roads, and we don't like to do that.
Yeah, you-
No, but great catch.
So hopefully,
So-
We're gonna try and cut roads more often.
You
Come up more
didn't mean that. You're on camera.
You really mess about putting it in millimeters?
So the Webb Road and Beans Corner will be at the larger tonnage due to their condition.
Yeah, for the heavy traffic roads.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good.
And Webb Road has the surface code, if anybody wants to know, that's been taken care of already.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they also finished the gravel, driveway gravel.
Yes, and our guys, did all the driveway matching, so I haven't heard any complaints yet.
Great.
It is great.
The paving was so thick, it was like a 6-inch drop off into my driveway.
Hope it will last.
They came and did it just in time before we got a grain delivery and had to brothers coming in, so it was good.
Nice. All set, Craig?
Yes, thank you.
All right, very good. So, Captain, let's move on to old business, the table resolution 2362, please.
Table Resolution 23-62, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to execute an easement with Central Maine Power Company for the line extension at the Pittsfield Municipal Airport for the new town hangar.
I look for a motion.
I make a motion to take this off the table, resolution 23-62.
Second. Moving to second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-62 is now off the table.
I'd like to make a resolution to approve resolution 23-62.
Moving to second. Gentlemen, any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? Very good. Let's move on. Council, any questions or comments on this? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we are ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 23-62, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-62 passes. So that takes care of old business. We will move into number 7, new business. Catherine, if you would, ordinance 23-06.
Ordinance 23-06 sets a public hearing on August 15, 2023, an ordinance to authorize the transfer of unencumbered appropriation balances to a department.
I'll look for a motion of council, please.
I make a motion that we set the public hearing, ordinance 23-06 on 8/15/2023.
Second.
Moving second. Any questions or comments? This is to set the public hearing.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So we've used like $7,200 in the first 6 months,
Yes.
but we want to increase the last 6 months
Yes.
by 18,000 for a total of 22,500. Not 20,500.
So at this point, we're dealing with multiple cases that are starting to cost the town a lot of money under the state law. So we're going to need the funds, unfortunately.
I mean,
Are these the same cases that we discussed when we discussed lowering the thing, which was when the state runs out of money to support?
The state has run out of money, and so everybody is coming here, and they're well aware of their rights.
So,
are they residents of Pittsfield?
So a majority are, yes, and some have come here. And once they arrive and state that this is their residence now, the town is responsible for them unless another town has moved them here. And in that case, the other town is responsible, and then there's a big discussion that goes on with the state.
But if the state can just simply say they're out of money, what?
We do that.
It's another unfunded mandate is what
Oh,
it is.
yes.
So ours can be too. We're unfunded, right? I mean,
Well,
end of the
I
day,
wish we had that stroke with the state, but unfortunately we don't yet.
what I guess I would ask where the stick is. Like, what's the penalty? I mean, I guess I'm asking that question, and I don't
No,
know.
it's a reasonable question, I know, but I didn't think we'd get to that question so soon in this discussion.
You said 6:15. I figured
No, I guess
that'd be
especially where the question is setting it to public hearing. I mean, this is the question that we're talking about. So keeping that in mind, we can have this discussion, but
Well, I'm
it's
just
certainly
curious,
something we'll talk about.
what's
next
different
week.
in the first half that's, what's changing the second?
The money is run out from the state halfway through, so more people are starting to come in. It's summertime, so people are migrating around. It is well known that the facility here in town works with the state and other programs and takes GA clients, which some places don't. So that seems to be known by some of the individuals that have showed up. But many people in town are struggling too. Several homes have been foreclosed. People have been evicted from their apartments. It's becoming quite a full-time job, unfortunately. So that's part of the issue. We'll also, we're going to do a campaign to raise money for the seniors and disabled, basically the older folks, oil project, because we're almost out of money. I just have less than a few $100s left. So winter will be coming too with the fuel prices. So we're going to have more GA. People have come in I never thought would come in.
Catherine, is this the total amount that's going to be needed in addition to what we already set aside? Or what was already appropriated for 2023?
Well, this is what we've,
18,000?
this is in addition to what we've already appropriated, yes.
Okay.
So you
And
have
then-
28 total.
Yeah.
And then has the state given us any funds so far for reimbursement?
No, but we have to apply for it, and we're working on it, but the tax liens have to be done first. And you have to get, for us, we have to get to 6 months, and so we've made it, the bills are still coming in from that 6-month period, because
So you
everything
need-
runs
You
behind.
need to wait until you've been billed for all the services that you authorized, the town authorized, through the end of June.
We're working on
Compiling that.
it now, yeah, so we'll have the last bill, Shoreline.
And you said the fuel for the senior funds, that those are wrapped up in the general assistance, it's not a separate.
It's done separately. The seniors normally don't want to apply for general assistance. It's a very time-consuming process. If we learn of cases or items are reported to us through different means, like the churches and everything, and the people come in, we discreetly help them with simple questions, so they don't have to go through the whole full process. Many would not come in, and they would have to decide between prescription drugs or food or heat, basically.
And do
In
we-
some unsafe heating situations.
Do we have the ability to kind of codify some of the funding that we set aside as general assistance to go just for that fuel fund?
No.
If we have, it has to just be across the board.
Yeah, we would need to keep the fuel fund for the seniors separate from the general assistance. We need to have a budget,
It could be
regardless of
different.
what it is, and have it in one account, so it will be audited by the state. We've already received an audit because of complaints from applicants.
Can we, if we were to set something aside and say, this is our general assistance pool of funding, and this is our fuel fund for seniors, and dedicate it just for seniors, that would be a separate line item in the budget, not under the GA?
I would not put it under the GA. We would set up a special revenue account.
But we could do that so that it's like,
Yes.
we know we have this set aside.
So it's
for
dedicated.
Seniors that are living
Yes.
in our town, residents in our town, and not necessarily, for transient people coming through, or just seasonally or something like that.
Right, if they got fuel, they would have to have a residence when they lived, yes.
Craig, you have a quick question?
I didn't hear jump at me. Go right ahead, but
So how much? So I think Praise Motel is kind of a hot spot for general assistance, how much control do we have over where these people stay? Like, if the town of Pittsfield is going to pay to house someone or pay to feed someone, I would just assume have that money stay in our town. I mean, I know there's not 100 different options here, but there are options in Pittsfield. Is there any way, do we have any control over where these people, when they get the general assistance money from us, where they get to stay?
Well, we're placing them at certain locations.
So there's no Airbnbs in Pittsfield or hotels or, I mean, I know the hotel thing's limited, but there's other options. I mean, $662, I'm assuming a week to stay at Praise Motel. and we can rent a house?
2 weeks.
So $662 every 2 weeks.
Yes,
Okay,
but the
$1,200 a
prices,
month.
the prices are higher now because of and it's hard to place anyone any place because all the summer people are coming here on vacations and everything. Currently, because of complaints with the motel, they're not our vendor here in town.
Okay. So they're not good enough for us to put people in. So is that a code enforcement issue? I mean, should the code enforcement
There's been
officer,
code enforcement issues there, yes. The
Is that-
code enforcement officer has been there.
is it on our hit list?
Not,
Okay,
I
maybe.
hope they don't get back on there.
So,
They're not good enough.
so if I may interject, so we're paying rent for people to stay in Newport?
Yes, or wherever we can place them.
Well, that doesn't make.
Why, well, if they're staying in Newport, why
Well,
don't
then,
they
Newport
be
Bay.
residents of Newport? Why, I guess there's some education we need on this because.
We have no housing. If we have no housing, how do they come here from a different town? Why would they go, like, if there's no housing, they have to go to the next town, I would guess.
That isn't what happens. They'll camp out. In one town I was in, they camped out in the parking lot, and they became our residents. That is the ordinance. But most people that we have helped so far have been evicted from their places here in town. There's been a few a few people that have moved in and come here. But most of them are people who were residents who got evicted.
Great. Yeah, I guess I just want to make sure that we're clear, that I don't think anybody here wants to deny a resident of Pittsfield the help they need to get by. I think we want to help each and every one that we can. I think that also can be muddied sometimes when we do something like this mid-year and we basically wave a banner like, hey, Pittsfield has additional monies that they've set aside. Everybody move to Pittsfield, right? Bring your problem to Pittsfield. Why are we moving mid-year to do this versus looking at this at the end of the year roll-up in our budget process?
Because we discussed this, that if we ran into a problem, we were going to bring it in. If the problem is happening now, we've just had a large influx of people who were evicted, and so we're going to run over shortly with the use of the general assistance fund. So instead of having a problem at the end of the year, we would address it now. Now, regardless of whether we have money or not, we have to help the people who are technically eligible. We have moved some people to homeless shelters. Some have been moved to other locations with relatives and things after major discussions, but some have no place to go. Nothing.
Understood. So have any of the prerequisite or qualifications changed this year that has made this a little bit more broad spread, I guess I would say?
As far as we can see, all of the programs that provided housing vouchers from COVID have expired. And so this left people here in town in the motel, this left people who were getting vouchers that had rentals, this left them without any vouchers coming in. And so we require that everybody go look for a job. They have to apply for Section 8 housing so they can get a voucher. This takes a while from the state. And then you have to try to help them find a landlord who will take somebody. We try to, when we have people that we are required to help, we try to help them find an apartment first because that's less expensive over the long run. We refer them to other programs. but this is not going away. There are people living in tents around town that have not been in yet.
Okay, so two more things and then I pass on to the next person. I guess next would be I kind of lost my train of thought there. One, I guess this is kind of something that I think probably should be vetted and discussed at a finance committee meeting before we would set this to public hearing. And I know Jason and Eric and myself had a conversation about having that come up in the next couple of weeks so that we can start to look at this, at something like this. Obviously getting prepped for budgets, looking at some revenue and expenditure statements and some things. But I think this is one of the things that really should be kind of vetted through our process first before sending to public hearing, just to make sure that we can fully explain this when we have questions come up and not leave all the burden to Catherine to answer questions. And then I guess I forgot the other piece. There was something to do with the qualifications, because it seems like we're having a difference, and it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. We talked about it, and now all of a sudden it's happening in droves, and I can't quite figure out how that kind of happens when it's.
So if I may interject, so just to reiterate, this is a discussion to set the public hearing. There's an awful lot of questions we have, and maybe we can have some answers between now and the public hearing in 2 weeks.
I'm thinking we push the public hearing to our first meeting in September.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
And give us, so we talked about date tonight, Jay, have you landed on
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that date works.
the 14th?
August 14th.
August 14th.
August 14th, so next Monday night, like 5:30, if that works?
2 months.
I have a
2
planning
Mondays,
board,
yeah.
I have a planning board meeting to prepare for. People
So
come in
what
early.
you could do with this meeting here, if we wanted to rescind the motion and then make a motion, if you wanted to push it to the next scheduled town meeting, which is
August 15th.
September.
Oh, September, it would be
Fifth.
around Labor Day here.
Yeah.
September 5th.
September 5th. So that will buy some time. The finance committee can come up with a date that you can meet and discuss this specifically, so when it does come up to public hearing, because I personally am going to do a little research. I'll be calling our state rep, see what information we can get on this. We can certainly do that if the gentleman, if Doc is willing to rescind his motion, then we can move it to another date. So that's up to the council to choose to do so.
I would like to do a little bit more due diligence on it. I'd like to vet it through.
So this
I
is
do think
going
everyone wants a public hearing, but we ought to be educated before we have one, because this is going to be
Exactly.
one of this. I mean, if we had an answer of some sort, it'd be a lot better than what we're going through right now.
So this is going on all across the state, but it's just hit us later.
Perfect.
I kind of wonder, sorry, Doc, I don't want
It's okay.
to interrupt you. But I mean, you say technically you can have overdrafts, so why don't we just why don't we just keep spending the money, don't have to transfer the money into that account. You can just wait till the end of the year and make that transfer. It'll be a big negative
It
and
will
some
be a big
positives, and then
negative, yeah.
but then you'll iron it out. And like, why do it now? And then you'll have to turn around and do it again.
As long as you're fine with that, but it will be a big negative.
Do we have other departments or funds that are over at this point?
No.
Nobody's over or projected to be over by the
No,
end of the year.
there's a couple that are 58%, but we're only halfway through. The monies are usually spent more in the second half.
That could be,
Okay, I'd rather
that could be
transfer-
a finance committee discussion.
I know, I'd rather transfer funds once rather
Exactly.
than twice. Like,
Yeah.
why do the extra work?
So that could be a
If there's no
consideration,
option.
if you want to move
Yeah.
along as suggested.
I think so.
So, Doc, if you want to
Why don't you
rescind.
just rescind the motion?
Yeah, I'm sorry, have you got a question?
I did.
Yeah, I didn't see
I
it, sorry.
have two, go ahead.
Do you want to your question first?
No, he's done
It's a question and a comment. Catherine, I understand that, and as Craig said, none of us really want to have anything detrimental happen to the citizens of Pittsfield. And they deserve all the help that we can provide for them. with the issue partially being these folks being put up and us paying for praise, which is not in Pittsfield, can we be assured by yourself that the folks that are being paid for at praise are in fact Pittsfield citizens
Yes, to date, yes.
today?
To date. yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Heather? And then we'll make a motion.
I guess it's more of a comment than anything. The town council last year was advised by our emergency management director and the town manager not to cut this budget. And the original funding for this budget was $18,000, where it had been for years. And the council cut $8,000 out of the budget. So it shouldn't be a surprise that the budget is going to go over this year, because they were told that this was going to happen in response to, inflation, higher costs for everything, and everything else. So, it's not a surprise to me that we need to do something like this, whether it's now or whether it's at the end of the year. And when we get into fall, people are going to need assistance with their heating bills, as well as, I think, Catherine, one of your memos had mentioned extreme heat, and that some people were being sheltered from heat for that as well. CMP bills are going up, and up, even if you're not making changes. So it's not a surprise that this is happening. And I don't think that we should treat it as a, oh no, we didn't know this was happening, what's different from this year to last. We knew this was going to happen. And so here we are, we find ourselves in this position, even though, the council was told that it was not advisable to actually cut that budget. It was cut anyway.
So I do want to address that. So,
Yes, just brief.
Understood.
Let's move along here. Spend a lot of time on this.
Understood. I understand exactly your point, Heather. Also, if you looked at the average spend over the last 5 years, which this is what the council went through, it was less than $11,000 a year.
Right, but
The highest peak was 16,000. We're almost doubling that this year.
Mm-hmm.
In no way was that advised. Nowhere. And the comments were asked the same as what was just asked earlier tonight, which was, if the state can throw its hands up and say, we don't have the money, why can't the town do that? Why does the town have to be there to hold that burden, especially for people who are not traditionally or were not residents at the beginning of the year, right? So we were basically asking the questions, why would we set ourselves up and plant a flag saying, hey, come here, because we'll put you up in a motel for 6 months. It just doesn't work. And I just remembered my question. The work thing that you said, they have to prove that they had applied for a job. I have tripped over on my ride home 27 help wanted signs. I know that I represent, this council represents four managers in this office, and I bet every one of us has looked for a person in the last 30 days. How are we vetting their their true seeking of employment to vet this application? Because McDonald's is hiring at $20 an hour if you want to work the night shift. And if you go there on the night shift in McDonald's in Newport, you're going to find out that no money. But if anybody can get a job right now, anybody that is truly seeking a job. So are we vetting these applications? I guess that's my biggest thing. Okay. 2 points. And that's it. I'm done.
So when they first come
Briefly,
in,
Karen, please.
when they first come in, we can't require them to look for work when they're here. You have to require that for their second application. So we have done, some people, we're supposed to do a month, but we've done 2 weeks to get this going here.
Sure.
So they have logs they have to fill out, they have to be provided, and then we call the employers to make sure they went there, and it's not a log they created on their own.
and that they weren't offered a position and they turned it down because,
Or applying for a position that they'd never get hired for.
or applying for a position out of, yeah.
There's some information we can't have, but we do verify that. And we also do that for, they're seeking of an apartment, because it would be better in the first month or so until they get the job to pay for an apartment versus the motel. It's better for them too, not in the town. So state law requires that we take care of the people who can't take care of themselves, and so that's why we have general assistance, and that's why we're helping people.
All right, certainly time between now and the first meeting in September to do a little research, so we can be a bit more educated on this topic, because otherwise we're going to continue going on in circles, especially whether the question is whether we go to public hearing. So, Doc, you want to make a motion?
So do we want to, question, okay, do we want to put this off to public hearing on 9/5, or do we want to put it off indefinitely from the perspective of, transferring money at the end of the year?
Well, I think the comment was made that the Finance Committee should and would like to investigate or at least have input, and from what I'm hearing from the three gentlemen here in the Finance Committee, that they would have sufficient time between now and the 5th
Great.
to meet and discuss. Would that be sufficient? Okay.
I will change the recommendation in the motion to,
We got officially repealed.
I would rescind my motion on ordinance 23-06.
Okay. And would you like to?
I would like to make a motion that move ordinance 2306 set to public hearing on 9/5/23.
Thought we were going to table it until we heard back from us at the next meeting, and then
I just asked for clarification if a month was sufficient, and then set this to public hearing at the 5th of September.
Okay.
I think it's fine. It's just, yeah.
That's fine.
So there's a motion to move this ordinance 2306 to public hearing on September 5th. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion, council? Very well, hearing none. Since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of the revised motion of setting ordinance 2306 to public hearing on September 5th, 2023, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 2306 will be set to public hearing on September 5. Thank you very much. Let's move on to resolution 23-67, please, Catherine.
Resolution 23-67, resolved that the town council accept the proposal of blank from blank in an amount to not exceed blank in response to the request for quotation, tax map update, and authorize the town manager to execute all required paperwork.
I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
I move the open discussion on resolution 23-67.
Second. Moved and seconded. So, council, have you had the opportunity to look at the pricing that was presented? I believe it's on page 15.
Mike,
Yes.
I need to recuse myself from the vote, but I can take part in the discussion, correct?
Yes.
You can take part in the discussion. I know you represent, you are representative of Kleinschmidt. Yes, I'll leave it up to your better judgment. On
I'm not gonna vote.
No, I understand, but I recommend you just use your judgment on how you would participate in the discussion. Yep. Good. You understand why I'm saying that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so any questions, comments, council, any suggestions on the names, numbers, and location that you'd like to put in there? Anyone want to?
Can we get some clarification from a subject matter expert and understand what the differences is, because there's a vast disparity. They were $9,000 separating three quotes.
Can the subject matter expert provide that kind of information? Unbiased?
I think so.
Okay.
Well,
if you would, please.
I honestly, I can't speak to the difference between the low bid and the mid bid.
So I think if you started to explain what the scope of work is, what is this money going to give us?
So the scope of work is to update 35 tax maps of Pittsfield with the latest changes that the tax appraisal company has documented over the last 10 years. And then, so they'll take those red lines, they'll update the Mylars, they'll print you a Mylar copy, they'll print you two 24 by 36 copies, they'll print you 11 by 17 copy, and they'll give you an electronic
PDF.
copy, PDF. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They'll give you a PDF. That's what two of the companies will do.
But, quick question on the PDF, will they be searchable?
I mean, no.
Was it?
It's a regular PDF.
No, it won't be searchable.
But when the character's being generated by a computer, they have programs that they can scan it and make it a searchable document if need be.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
I mean, Mylars really don't get converted and readable. I don't.
Right.
But
Understood. But a PDF you can manipulate as needed.
Yeah,
Understood.
But the third company, so Kleinschmidt, being 11 grand, and the reason it's 11 grand is they're going to take the current tax maps that Pittsfield has on file, convert them to AutoCAD, so it's all line work, update all of that with, text and line work and everything else, and then they're going to give you the updated Mylars. You'll give the same thing that the other two companies will give you. They'll also give you the AutoCAD files. So the town essentially kind of moves from always maintaining Mylars, which are 40, 50 years ago technology, to something a little more present and moving forward type deal. That's the $5 grand difference between those two companies. So it's really just a matter if you want to spend an extra $5 grand to have it be AutoCAD, more crisp, searchable, readable, all that different things. And going forward, you said we do this in another 3 or 4 or 5 years. You might get more people bidding on it because it's a lot easier to update a CAD file than it is to update, old drawings. And it'll be a heck of a lot cheaper than what it is now because you've already done the labor
So
intensive part.
future changes in the next 3 or 4 iterations when you're still on the council, you'll talk about this.
Yeah.
When you would counsel for us. Yes. Right, go ahead.
So in reality, then they're all not bidding apples to apples.
No.
So did they break it out and Brian's going to break it down to here's the standard package, same as the other two gave, but here's the next level up package.
They didn't because they don't want to do the standard package. They just won't.
Oh, so they're not going to do the standard the other two are doing.
No, if you don't go with what they offered,
Right.
then they just won't do it.
So then let's do the reverse. Did somebody go to the other two and say, how much for the next level up package? Because before you jump on to saying, give Kleinschmidt 11 grand because they gave you all the bells and whistles, go to the other two and say, okay, I want the bells and whistles, what's your price? And if they only jump up maybe 3 grand a piece, they're still cheaper than Kleinschmidt.
That's fair.
So should we rebid it and ask those two companies to submit bids with the full? Because, looking at it, the mid and the low bid are the ones that follow the bid specs.
Right.
They did.
And normally, if somebody doesn't follow the bid specs, you don't address that bid.
Right.
You look at the specs that you sent out.
Yeah.
So do we want to take this and either open it up for rebid or go back to these other two companies and say, can you do this other work as well? And then we have apples to apples to compare. If the town council decides that they can find $11,000 to do this project, because this wasn't in the budget to be done this year. So that's the other question, is where the funding for this going to come from? And then the question can be, who's going to do it?
So it actually would go back to the necessity of having all the bells and whistles that the high price represents. The other two fit the bid specs, and we've already approved the bid specs, so we're discussing the bids we have in hand. I see no need to go out for rebid for something like this. It's not an absolute necessity. It's something that should be done, and as Jason had mentioned, once we get it in an electronic format, next time it comes up, it'll be a relatively easier fix because we're dealing with analog technology. We're making it digital.
Sounds fair to me.
So to keep the continuity in the process, is there anyone in the audience have any questions or comments on this? Very well, I'll close to public comment. Anything else, council? Does somebody want to propose, yes?
So are you disqualifying Clashman?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
I just wasn't sure.
No, I won't say anything about disqualification. I'm saying that to go out for a rebid, especially where they have bid to the specs that we've approved as the town, I don't see that as a necessary step. I mean, we're looking at 3 numbers for 3 companies, the same as buying tons of gravel or a new truck or any piece of equipment for the town.
Well, really, we should only be looking at 2 of them because they fall the bid specs. Or we should give, in all fairness, we should give them the opportunity to provide that extra step if the council decides that, I mean, it makes sense to do it and have it done all electronically and have it all up to date in that way, but I don't feel good about how, you're really not giving the other companies the opportunity to bid on the same product. If you go...
They all had the same specs to bid to, Heather.
Right.
What I mean, it's not fair to the company. They all had the same bids to spec to, specs to bid to. Here are the results.
I give,
Right.
I bid consistently on municipality bids. I constantly do that. And if I have the opportunity to submit an additional piece, an addendum or something that I feel benefits me and sets me apart from anybody else that's going to bid, I send it in. I don't say, oh, what was on your bid spec? I send it in.
No.
They all have the opportunity to
But
use
usually
it.
you say, this is the quote for your bid, what your bid specs is. Here is also an additional quote.
Right.
If you want the bells and whistles.
But I've also done it where if you're thinking about separating this piece off or changing this option, I'm not interested in that part of it. Here's my bid for the entire deal. So I think that, we have the opportunity to decide on this based on the merits of the person or company that bid. I'm okay with that.
And as I'll reiterate that, based on the merits of the bid spec,
Absolutely.
to me, it's fairly straightforward. I think we're muddying the waters way more than we need to, in my opinion.
The only other question I'd have is the Eastern Mapping Service is that fairly, I won't say legitimate, but reputable, or they've done plenty.
Well, they have references. They
Yes,
reference,
I checked with the references. In fact, they did work in towns that were in my area previously, so I knew that they had a good reputation, but I did contact references and some other towns that I've heard that they had done work for, and everybody raves about their work.
Newport is a reference.
Yeah, so that. Okay.
Anything else, council? Does anybody want to propose a price and a company from these bids?
Do we have the money in the budget at all, Catherine?
No, we had budgeted for the paper copies to get everything updated. So no, it will overdraft the assessing account.
Does the 5,900, does that stay within it?
No, the low bidder is within the budget, but it would be less of an overdraft if it was the $5,900. All the companies
they're-
are excellent companies.
I think there's plenty of funds that are around to do any of it. I'm just speaking in general to do this project.
Right.
There are funds around.
Let's repeat what Catherine said. Very important. The low bid is within the budget. We will get what we've asked for per the bid spec within the budget.
If we're going to get that within the budget and the bid specs, then why not take the low bid?
If the council wishes to move forward, let's have somebody make a suggestion on who we want to go with. If the council does not wish to move forward, then we vote it down. I mean, we can do any number of things. We're really going around a maypole here that shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Craig, and then I'll go to Heather, and then we need to have some action on this.
Quick question. For the base bid that we received, how much are we advancing our position over where we currently are? Like, have the maps moved, the property lines have moved that considerably that we're looking at?
When was the last time they were updated? I think you would ask that
In
before.
2014, 15, for 3 years, there weren't any transfers that needed lines drawn on them, but lately there's been quite a few transfers.
So it's eight years
Yeah.
that it hasn't been touched.
Yes, so this would advance the tax maps to be clearer. So far, we haven't had any issues with the contact of the abutters, but there are a lot of splits, and luckily I know where they are, so I can make sure the planning board has the correct abutters notification.
Hence the reason we should have it documented, because if you win the Mega Millions or we get someone to take your seat sooner or later, then we can't depend on a person's knowledge. We have to have it documented. Heather, you got a question or comment?
A couple things. Number one, the finance committee is going to tell us before the end of the evening when their meeting is going to be, I hope. And they're going to have a meeting, so if there needs to be funding sourced for either the mid or upper bid that's outside of the budgeted amount, perhaps the item could be tabled until the finance committee meets and sorts that out. But I think that the council needs to give the committee some direction as far as what they're looking for. And if the council feels that it's that much important that we go with the digital, then I would like to see us go back to the two companies that also bid, so we have 3 bids of equal work to compare, and ask them to add that onto their bids. I know it wasn't part of the bid spec originally, but I think to be fair to the companies, and so that they're all bidding on the same items, either that or we should just do what we do with all the other bids that don't follow bid specs and not address that bid. I mean, that's the protocol that we've done with other items. If somebody doesn't submit what you've asked them to bid on, then you don't address that bid.
And
So-
hence, that's why we would look at Kleinsmith differently than the other two. The other two were to the bid spec.
Right,
And one of them is within budget.
right.
So I don't understand why we keep dancing around this.
I wouldn't mind tabling this. If the well, the bigger question is, does the council feel that it's important enough to go the full bore and do the whole digital maps, have it done and be done with it? Is that a priority for us today? Or is the priority just to get them updated to where they are, where they need to be from the last 8 years, and then make this, because $11,000 is actually a capital improvement item.
And 2,700 is within budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one sets us up for our goal of growth for the town more? Does one keep us in a position where we're going to have to do this consistently and look at constantly chasing it with old technology? Or are we actually being able to put ourselves in a position where if our true goal here is to grow Pittsfield, right, which is what we all talk about when we're down here, does this put us in a position where those changes and updates can be made more easily, more readily, and cheaper in the future with better competition? So maybe we didn't know what our bid spec should be until we got feedback on what it could be. So I'm kind of with Heather that maybe we table this for a minute and consider the opportunity to expand our bid spec.
I think we table more than a hot minute. I mean, I think something like this, I mean, if we have a new regime coming in here and working with us, and they have different ideas on what this needs to look like, and they have different input on what other towns are doing, I would love to hear it. I mean, for me, it's hard to justify spending the extra money. I'm sure it's awesome. How is it awesome? Like, show me the benefits of what we are getting. And I would just assume have someone that's coming in for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years and kind of match their goals of what they see as well, not just the council.
Okay, so we had a motion set this to discussion, correct? Yes, happen briefly.
Would it be a reasonable compromise to get these maps updated, because they do need to have that, and accept the low bid, which is from a qualified company that does this type of work, and then budget for this as part of the overall budget strategy for the future with growth and maybe a little bit more, based upon the Kleinsmith bid for 2024, and maybe more beyond that. So it was a major capital improvement.
So why did it have to be updated? I mean, I'm sounding ignorant here, but we can punt on trucks and graders and loaders and trash cans and compactors, and we punt that stuff every year.
I'll tell you
What
what,
happens to these maps?
Jason had brought this up originally. I mean, he probably answered that question for you. I know it had been something you had brought up some time ago.
I mean, my concern is that the hard copy that sits upstairs is played with by every person that comes into the town office, and that's where the master markup is. There's red lines all. I went and looked at it. It's now in the back office, that so people don't have access. But there's a lot of markups on there that aren't documented anywhere. If there's a fire, a flood, anything else, like that's it. And now we have to figure this all over again. So that was my initial thought, is that, well, we need to get these at least updated so we have a nice hard copy and move forward with that, I guess.
So if we had a file.
But at a minimum, I guess, if you want to do the bare minimum, just print off the PDFs from the town website. And I'm not being sarcastic, just
Or
have
simply,
somebody with a 24 by 36 printer, print off those and put another copy up there
put
for.
them on a USB, keep them in the fireproof safe, so we have them.
Yeah, I mean, you can scan what's up there as is.
I guess the bottom line was,
They're in such poor shape that it's
just
just.
update what we have up there, bring them up to snuff, and bring them up to accuracy, because as Catherine mentioned, it's been 8 years since this has been done. And it is concerning that the only copy is that one sitting upstairs.
That I'm aware of. I could be wrong.
But
That's
but
what-
fire or
that's what I was
flood,
told.
fire or flood, like you mentioned, I doubt very much we'll be able to recover. I don't know if they're available anywhere else, the red line. Catherine? briefly.
They were kept in the safe. The assessor had them out and put them out front because people wanted to look at them. We had the others set out there, and they were out there for a few weeks, so they had been put back in the safe.
So we do have a good copy in the safe.
Yeah, we have the marked up copy in the safe.
We have the correct copy in the
Yes,
safe.
yes.
So if it's an option to take the hard copies that we have now, fix the edges, because they're kind of scattered around the edges, and go have them copied, we could still provide a copy for the public. I know I've gone in there, I've gone in there and looked up all kinds of stuff, whether for properties or hayfields or whatever, trying to figure out things that we're talking about in town. And I find it very useful to have the property list there and the map list. You can go from one to the other. If you know someone's name or you know where it is, you can find the map. So it's usable in that way. And when we moved here, I was able to find the tax map and lot number online on the PDF through the town website. It's not searchable you can't just type in one and have it go to it.
Right.
But if you know the address of the property you're looking for, you can find it. It's a little step involved, but you can still do it. So they're not entirely not useful in the form that we have. But I do think that, if we want to go low cost and preserve budgeting here, we can take the ones that we have and go have them copied, have clean copies made, maybe 2 copies, one for the assessor to use on a daily basis, one for the public to use, and put the really original copy in the safe and just leave it in the safe until such time that we decide that we want to do this whole digital project, and maybe this gets rolled into the more digitization of the town project that we've been talking about for 5 years, 6 years.
So we had the motion, Doc, it was set this to discussion, was that correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so we have a motion that can be rescinded. If somebody wants to make action, we have several things. We can put in the name and number, vote on that, vote it up, vote it down. We can vote to table this at another time, or we can just pass on it and not vote at all. I mean, we have options here. We're spending, a lot of options that we've discussed that I didn't realize would come up. I'll leave it up to the council, how you wish to proceed. My thoughts are personally, we've discussed this before, it's been brought up several times by Councilor Hall. The council had discussed this, we agreed to set this out to bid. Here's the bid, and it's necessary. 8 years of information has not been updated, it's on the hard copy. So I say $2,700, bid to spec, and it's within the budget. That would be my opinion.
Okay, I say resolve that the town council accept the proposal of Eastern Mapping Services from Newburgh
Yes.
in an amount not to exceed $2,700 in response to the request for quotation.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments on that, council?
I think we have one from the audience.
I close the audience.
Oh,
Very well. Hearing none, I sense the council is ready to vote. All those in favor of Resolution 23-67?
If the resolution changed, do you then accept audience on the new resolution?
It's the same resolution. We're talking the same thing. That was set to discussion. I open it up to the audience and no participation.
Okay.
Okay? I will continue. All those in favor of Resolution 23-67 as noted with the proposal of Eastern Mapping Services Newburgh in the amount not to exceed $2,700, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay?
Nay.
Okay.
I abstain.
That's right, you shall abstain. So we will poll the council. I will start with Councilor Saucier.
Nay.
Councilor Donahue.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Margolski.
Aye.
Councilor Frost.
Aye.
Councilor Jester.
nay.
And I vote aye. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. Resolution 23-67 passes as noted. Thank you all very much for discussion. So let's move on to Resolution 23-68, please, Catherine.
Resolution 23-68, resolve that the town council accept the proposal of blank from blank in an amount to not exceed blank in response to the request for quotations, highway garage roof replacement / overlay, and authorize the town manager to execute a contract and all other required paperwork.
I'll look for a motion from council, please, for Resolution 23-68.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 23-68.
Second.
All right, very well. Before I like to set to audience participation, is there a suggestion you want to put in there? I mean, you made a motion to approve, but we can't approve until we identify.
Defer to Donnie as far as any recommendation.
That's the right call.
Yeah.
Donnie can give you our recommendation, he cannot make the motion.
I'm looking
Year's
for
recommendation first.
the expert here.
Who makes a motion for Donnie to set?
Donnie, you've been asked your input on this. What would be your opinion?
Which been
All three bidders were reputable bidders. All three bidders are within the scope. All three bidders were, I checked references to that this afternoon, and all of them had stellar recommendations. One company cannot do the project. He was a high bidder until next year, which I said that was probably going to happen.
So,
I'm very happy with recommending Kaufman Roofing Company out of Bradford. He was a low bidder at $59,000. His references checked out. He's going to put new metal on. He's going to do the R factor insulation. It's well within the scope of our bid. I think that pricing is excellent because we got way more than that 2 years ago. Some of the bids were up over $80,000. So we get $59,000.
So what's your recommendation?
Kaufman. A little bit. I would go with a little bit of Kaufman.
Okay, I make the motion that accept the proposal of Kaufman Roofing from Bradford, Maine, in the amount not to exceed $59,136.55.
I have a motion on the floor. Any second?
A second.
All right, second. Thank you very much. I will open to audience participation. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak? Very well. I'll close the audience. Council. Any further comments or questions on this?
Donnie, is Kaufman available to do it this year before winter sets in?
Yes, and that Roof Masters, when them both were able to do it this year. Yes.
Is there any difference, Donnie, between what they're offering?
The only difference with these guys is that they're gonna do metal, which we originally wanted to do metal. Previous bids that 4 years ago Steve did were upwards of 85,000, they weren't close. So we talked about using a vinyl roof system because of the insulation. These two metal roofers, they can do the metal on there, they can do the R factor underneath the new metal.
Okay.
So there is room there between the truss and the strapping system to do that. So they meet the bid specs, so.
Okay.
I'm happy. We're getting an R value, we're getting a new roof. It'd be nice to go to the bathroom and we're getting rained on. There you go. Take a shower, I wish I said.
Anything else, Council?
I would note there that their bid has sales tax on it, so it's actually $13.23 less than that.
And I did notice that, the
Yes.
price that the deputy mayor said was not to exceed, so we would just subtract the sales tax out.
Yeah.
So we're all
So
set.
$57,800.
But I will tell you, I'm pleasantly pleased we're saving a good bunch of money.
Long overdue, too.
Yep. Long overdue, 39 years, I think we figured it out.
That's probably 19 years over the original warranty.
I'm glad I sent out all of the RFPs. I had to research the companies to figure out which ones did that type of roofing, and luckily there were quite a few.
Yes, there are.
Council, anything else?
So all the materials between the three are all the same, like the gauge of the metal and the R value.
Yeah, the warranty, the R value, they were all, like I said, they were all very, very kind. They all come up and looked at the scope. They were very interested in the work.
Good.
So,
Awesome. Easy one.
And they'll replace plywood that's rotted and all that, if there's any rot.
there's no rock. The only thing that they have to replace would be strapping. Yes, if they include strapping, because we've got, there was actually steel trusses under. So you've got steel, you've got wood strapping, and then your metal.
I didn't see it in there. Warranty or guarantee on this?
40 year
Yes.
40-year warranty.
So 20 more than what we had on the original.
Yeah, this was the highest.
Yes.
So somebody's grandkid's gonna be on this council talking about, oh, we got 39 years out of a 4-year warranty.
Won't be us, Mike.
Yeah, well, my great grandkid.
Grandkids can say, listen, you didn't make it 4 years.
I remember wearing that thing. Anything else, Council? Very well, hearing none, I sense we are ready to vote. So all those in favor of resolution 23-68 as noted for accepting the proposal of Kaufman Roofing of Bradford in the amount not to exceed $59,136.55. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-68 passes as noted. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you very much, Council. So let's move on to discussion items. Catherine, do you have a brief report for us on that? Anything you'd like to bring up?
Very brief, all of the departments presented their reports, they're all very helpful. The sanitary section was on leave, therefore he did not submit a report. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Catherine. So that takes care of that, and we will move to number 9 reports. Anyone in the audience, I believe you folks would like to have the floor to speak or something you want to present? Now's your opportunity.
Where would you like him to go?
Anywhere you want to have space, depends on what he's going to do.
Song and dance.
So all I ask you, introduce yourself, where you're from, and the floor is yours.
Alright, my name is Michael Conway, and I am right here in Pittsfield, Maine. So, I'm a senior this year, and I'm working on my senior project currently. So for my senior project, I'm building these. They are called Reel In and Recycles. They are PVC pipes that you can put your fishing line in when you're done using it, so that it doesn't end up in the environment. And I'm building 5 of these for the surrounding towns of Pittsfield, Heartland, St. Albans, and Newport. And I was wondering if I could install one of these in Pittsfield at Manson Park, 1 or 2 of these.
I have no problem. I think it's a great idea, and I'm sure we have a gentleman here that'd be more than happy to help you out. Wouldn't you?
What an awesome project.
Yeah, sure. That's a great idea.
idea.
Great idea.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, so when you have the opportunity to do so, you contact the town office. Catherine can help you out, or you can get hold of Mr. Donnie Shue. I'm sure he'd be the person that you want to talk to.
He could probably
Yeah.
try to, he's called the town office and he can't get a reply.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
So he knows where to find Donnie, I believe.
Definitely, I'd be interested.
There you go. We'll just cut out the middleman.
What about the Manson Park Committee? Is that someone?
We would check with Paul Bertram.
Yeah, check
Yeah.
with Paul would eat that up. He would love that.
Yep. But to get it installed, I think Donnie would be a good start, good contact, yeah.
I do have one more note. So with these, they have to be emptied once or twice a year. I have a address that you mail the line to once it's been recycled.
Oh, okay.
How do they get mounted?
So I'm looking at industrial zip ties. They are going to be mounted on signposts, or I can drop the pole, but signposts are probably the way to go.
Would you have anything you could, or do you have anything like a document or a poster that we could probably put on our town website when they get installed? Something that we could put, maybe we could ask the Heart of Pittsfield on the Facebook, say, we have these installed, here's what they're for. I mean, here's the gentleman that's doing it, here's the reason why, just to kind of get the exposure up for you.
To your capstone committee.
I mean, it's certainly nothing that you have to have now. What I would say, if you had that, I think that would work well, just as suggested.
Okay,
That way, people will see that, they know what it's for.
I can certainly get one.
That'd be great. I think
He
that'd
has
be
a
fantastic.
presentation he has to do for his capstone and for a committee at his school, and so he could make his presentation available and
That'd be perfect. Yeah, certainly.
and pictures of the installation.
Right.
Excellent.
I see in the photo that you got on the cover there, is there like a sign above it?
There is. I already have the sign. I did not bring it tonight, but I did order the stickers, which are on it right now. It has the name of what it's called on it, so that people know what it is, along with the presentation I'll be giving.
Where do you get this idea from? Is this something that was locally thought of, or is something that's on the national level, or?
I actually read an article about it online, and it's an idea I've never heard of. I wasn't sure I've ever seen one in Maine, so I decided I'd like to build one, or 5.
Maybe a little addicted to fishing.
So that's definitely worth the exposure. Right there. That's definitely worth it.
And once that's installed, it'll be registered with the national organization as a location.
So that they can keep track of the numbers.
Fantastic.
And
That's excellent.
don't remember if there is one in Maine, and if there is already one in Maine, it's in the very southern part of the state.
So you're
At
gonna
Marina.
put us on the map.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Did you find any sponsors to help you with the cost of the project?
I
There's
have
probably several
one.
companies that would want to help.
I do have one at the moment.
Yeah.
Or I
Pretty much Home Depot paid for all of it. They donated
Right.
everything.
Excellent. Yeah.
We went down there and the manager told him to get a cart and everything that was on his list they donated. It was about $250 for the product. So all he has left to do is buy the industrial zip ties, and
And then the installation.
unless somebody wants a pole, and then he'll have to buy the pole to drop it.
That's cool.
That's great.
That's great.
All right, well, thank you very much for the,
Thank you, everyone.
for the leadership.
And since he's done and we're probably going to scoot out, I would just add to a very prior discussion. When you're talking about general assistance, Michael and I run the food pantry at Somerset Elementary School in Heartland. Our pantry does a once a month event from 3 to 5, and it is not limited to anybody who lives in that town. It can be any town. So if I can give, it's the first Tuesday of every month, I can bring in a piece, and if you have some people who are truly in need or making decisions between heating fuel and food, we have unbelievable food that comes in. Helios Horse-Powered Farm in Guilford, all fall long, brings us hundreds of pounds of fresh produce and such. And our pantry is based on need, so the more people who come to it is the way we could stay a free pantry. And we don't collect any data other than how many adults and how many children. We don't ask them their income, we don't have them fill out any forms. They come and they get whatever food they need for the month.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
And I believe Warsaw just opened one.
I think
But we're a little more
Warsaw-
experienced than they, but I know that they just started one in Warsaw today. I answered some questions for them to get them going.
So have you had further input with them other than just to get them started? I mean,
No,
do
just
you
help them point
communicate?
them in the right direction, link them up with Good Shepherd Food Bank. We get our shipments from Good Shepherd. Most of the teachers and our boys, Troop 428 here in Pittsfield has done a lot of volunteer hours there. And we've gotten it going. So when we do scouting for food, we brought it to that pantry as well, because we brought it some to the town as well, but we also wanted to make it so that people did not have to fill out paperwork to be able to obtain food.
Understood. Well, thank you. Excellent presentation. Thank you very much for offering that.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
All right, good job. Anyone else in the audience? All right, very well. I will close the audience, and I will start with Heather. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to bring up Heather.
Thank you.
Good job, man. Thank you, Mark.
Good job.
Thank you.
Well, that's an easy start. Good job, Michael. Love you. No, it's like that creative passion and turning it into action. That's the kind of stuff that really can have an impact, because it's coming from the heart of what people really feel and enjoy doing. And Mike has a great future ahead of him as he goes off to school, and I believe he's doing the Naval Cadet program. So we have a young serviceman with us. I thought much beyond that. Yeah, I mean, I think we made some good decisions tonight. I think we moved some items forward. And then we have a couple of things we'll talk some more about when they come back to us after the finance committee looks at things. That's it.
All right, thank you. Eric.
Just a couple things. First and foremost, it's keeping business local. I mean, we talked about this whole mapping thing, and we gave it to a contractor in Newburgh, which is fairly local, but it's still not in Pittsfield. I think that should be, or at least it is for me, it's really a focus, even if it's a couple more dollars, if it's more of a service and it's local, I really think we need to focus on keeping our money as close to this town as we can, in my opinion. I just hate to see, honestly, I don't like when my dollars leave and go to Craig's Motel in Newport. I think if it stays here and it helps that company be successful here and helps pay the taxes in Pittsfield, right? So at least if you take tax dollars and you're paying a business and then they're paying taxes in turn for using our services, I can almost somehow sort of wrap my head around it. But when it leaves, it makes it just that much worse. And I think what Craig was driving at, I totally agree with. Like, I want people to have food. I want them to have a place to live. I want them to be healthy. And I have no problem in any way making that happen. When that system gets abused, that's when it really gets irritating, right? So we just got to make sure that these people that are getting this assistance need it. They're not abusing the system. They're truly residents of Pittsfield. If they meet all those criteria, I absolutely want to do everything we can to help them. And I think everyone here is nodding their head yes, because we all feel the same way. Just don't abuse it. And it's kind of up to us to police that, because we're kind of the authority that way. If we're getting the application, we accept the application, we have due diligence that we need to do. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Jason.
Yeah, I appreciate Michael's presentation. That was nice little uplift at the end of the meeting, so that's good. I think the discussions tonight are good. I think they're warranted. You know, I know some of these things drag on a little longer than some of us might want, but it's all value, and everybody has, you know, a point of view that maybe somebody else hasn't thought of. So I hope we focus on the fact that we're having good discussion, and it's, you know, if it's a little longer, then so be it. But it's warranted because, like we've talked tonight, like money is tight for people, and you know, if we can save here and cut there and put it in the right places, then that's worthwhile. So I think it was good discussion. I would agree with Eric. There's nothing to do with you know, Klein Schmidt, but keeping things local is important. But I understand why it went where it went, and it's great that we're getting it updated. So we met the goal that we were looking to accomplish, and that's good. Beyond that, I think I'm good. Catherine will try to schedule that finance committee meeting around your schedule and
Yeah, we'll
other people's. Just everybody's really busy. Craig and Eric have families and kids going everywhere. I obviously do not, so I can make it work. But yeah, we'll get that scheduled. And I think that's about it, I guess.
What's up? All right, thank you. Craig?
Couple things. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to Chief Morris and Amy Kitchen. They put some smiles on some kids' faces this past week. They brought to Pittsfield for a first time ever cop camp. And being the parent of a child that got a chance to take part in that, and watching him come home every night and tell me about the exciting thing that he got to experience. Just quickly, for those of you that don't know, they got to, probably the highlight of the day, fish with a warden. They got to drive around the parking lot in a pedal-powered go-kart with .08 and .20 goggles on and try to navigate a course. I was like, should be used to but you know, I think even more important, they got, in an age where our police officers are under attack across the nation, across the world, they got a chance to see why people dedicate their lives to that profession and why they're there to keep our citizens safe, right? And that these things are done in a protection of us, not to harass us, not to make our life difficult. And I think a lot of that was laid on them when they got a chance to go to court and they got a chance to see some criminal proceedings. They got a chance to go to the academy, to the main crime lab. Just amazing things. And just huge hats off to the chief and what he's brought to this town. I mean, we have the community event coming up on, what, the 5th, I believe?
Yes.
First ever?
Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, this guy he's lighting it on fire, and it's amazing to watch it happen. And just big shout outs to him. So, and then again, like I said, Amy, who's, we all know, is kind of the engine that makes it go, right? So, big thanks to them. I guess the only other thing that I'm wanting to say, and I'll get two more. I'll echo again what Eric said. It would, I think all of us would probably lose sleep at night, even in our comfortable beds at home, understanding that decisions that we made, you know, disadvantage somebody. That's not what we're ever out here to do, right? I want my neighbors to be comfortable. I want them to be able to have a place to sleep at night. I just know, much like what we talked about a second ago, we're under attack from many different ways, and there are people that exploit our systems and that are looking for a way to take advantage of something. And it's good to see that we have some stop gaps in place, and I hope that those are being used to their fullest to make sure that the people that are of Pittsfield are taken care of. Right? And lastly, this is just kind of a follow-up piece. There was some discussion at our last meeting for some follow-up this week. I did not see it in the report, town manager report or anything, so I'm hoping to see that for our next meeting, which is follow-up on the use and application of our employee expense reimbursement.
So that's going to be part of the department head meeting on August 17th.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, that and how to fill out the time sheets, because I've learned of something that might be going on, or a perception issue. So we'll address that
Okay.
too. So we're going to go through those and the safety audits that need to take place.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate the update. That's it for me. Thank you.
All right, Fred, thank you. Fred, I can't even come close to topping that so fast.
You choose your battle, right? Next time I'll start with you, okay? So be prepared. Doc, please. Thanks, Mike.
Just a couple of points. Catherine, when might we see an auditor's report if it's done?
We're one of 15 audits that are more complicated due to the issues with the change,
Right.
with the conversion. So we're still in that group. We're ahead in the first one to be done once they complete the federal audits that they're working on. The firm lost some auditors. Our auditor was lost, and I'm finding that he was like a powerhouse in getting audits done compared to some of the other auditors. So I have been after them. I've got extra reports. I have found the issues that have taken place, and as I showed you with the water sewer, with the false bills that took place. So I've given them all that information. They didn't go out, but they're in the system, which is what's throwing things off. So I've given them all that information as well as the tax reconciliation, and they were satisfied with all of that. So we're ahead of the other ones, but I've got to keep after them because they're overwhelmed with.
Right, and you know, we're in August already. And,
We are.
looking
Yeah, I
for-
pointed out when we want it,
Yeah.
which is past that date. They have, there's no further information I can give them at this point.
Okay. And we used to get, I'm not sure if it was every month, but we used to get expense and receipt reports, you know, in tabular form, you know, on a monthly basis or quarterly. We haven't seen one in a while. And I'm kind of wondering, you know,
Yeah, I have
when we
those.
might.
I
Get
have
the
those
next one.
done. We had some issues. I found that items in the expense where there were some malfunctions that took place, but they're not all the time. So you have to go through every single entry and check it, as well as the revenues. We have in the revenue budget some cash reports which are correct, because you have to check everything to get the little quirks out that are happening, which are a lot less than they were before last year, so that's good, and a lot less than what they were at the beginning of the year. So there are some cash receipt journals that were not created by the system automatically, and so we've done our updates so that we can work with the state of Maine motor vehicle and make sure everything is on the same version of the program. And so now I've notified Trio that we'll be sending in the items that need to be done by their computer specialist to straighten those out. I can do some of them myself, but if there's several funds and the money has to do the due to from going from the checking account in number 1 to number 5 and all that, they
Well,
have
we
to
just
do
used
that.
to get reports, you know,
Yeah.
revenues versus expenses and where we are for the year. You know, and when we start talking about, you know, issues like, you know, general assistance and where we are at this point in the year, I think those reports do help us, you know.
Yeah, I have
make
the
decisions.
expenses are done, the revenue is having an issue, as long as you don't mind that I write down revenues without X, Y, and Z, which they're working on, then we'll be all set.
Okay.
Those are done.
So, I just want to reiterate what Craig said regarding Vince and, you know, the event on Saturday, you know, Vince, and he's been working with Jan Louts as well on this event. I know that they've got multiple vendors, and they've got a DJ, and they've got things for the kids to do. So this is kind of, he hopes to have this as an annual event, in town, and basically it's a family day. And it'll be from 3 to 7 in Manson Park. This is something that apparently police units around the country do, and usually it's on August 1st, and they usually do it today, but Vince is starting it this Saturday, and that's going to be, hopefully the first of future events as well. The only other thing I want to mention, I just want to give kudos and a shout out to Catherine, who's given myself and the search committee much assistance in preparing for interviews for a town manager to follow in Catherine's footsteps. And I just want to publicly acknowledge her assistance that's been very forthcoming. And I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Doc. You took a little bit of my thunder, but I'll add a little bit.
Hey, I tried.
Yeah. Thank you very much, all. So I'll be as brief as possible. Just thank you, everyone that shows up. I know you gentlemen work all day long, provide your input here, so it's well appreciated. Pete, thank you very much. We'll make sure we get your chair back to the wall as you need. You're the only regular, we can't scare you away. Okay. So just bring up again, Pete Bickmore. We all know he's passed, and Pete came into a very difficult situation. He was dealt a rough hand. He was a very kind person, a good man, respectful. He was a good police officer, and he became a friend of mine. So he's going to be sorely missed. And I think he was the right man for the time for Pittsfield, and they did a good job. So to segue into that. Thank you for bringing up the comment about today's police department. Chief Morris brings a dynamic that this town hasn't had in a long time, and they are on fire. And every person I've talked to has said how wonderful the department is, how nice they are, how responsive they are, all the things that they're doing. They're generating a buzz, the momentum. They're building a tsunami that is just overwhelming. It's long overdue, and that's the dynamic I think this town has been thirsting for a long time. So I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to attend Rennie's grand opening at the old Rite Aid building there. I met with John Rennie and Adam and Faustine, sister. Really nice people. So it was a fun to do it. It was the same time that Fox was here in town. But they never got a chance to go up there, but that's fine. It was an exciting day. So if you haven't been in there, it's a brand new, but still just the same. They have all the good stuff. So he said, Adam mentioned to me that it's twice the size, but now they're twice as busy. So, and that's a good thing. So just a quick comment or two. Doc, I want to acknowledge you providing your time. If anyone doesn't know, Doc spends a significant amount of time in here. He's kind of a liaison or consulting, whatever you want to call it. Man Friday with Catherine, helping with the transition, focusing on getting things done. Because time is marching on, and Catherine, to have this room cleaned up like that and have it ready for our interview the other day, thank you very much. It was very apparent, so I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you to Public Works when we found out we were doing it in one.
Yes, yeah, and the two gentlemen here, I'm sure that were involved.
I did
Maybe a little bit.
I did not burn any illegal documents.
Well, next time you better.
They're gone.
The one thing I want to wrap up with is that we had our first candidate in for the second round of interviews. We have 3 people that we're talking to. This young man was very exciting, very intelligent, very well spoken. And we have another one on the 11th of this month and the last on the 15th, I believe. So we're going to meet immediately after 15th to make a decision. So my thoughts were when we started this process, we would have maybe 5 applications. We've had 35, plus or minus, 35 applications. Some were right out left field that just weren't qualified. The quality of candidates we've gotten has been phenomenal. And it's not that they'll look for the next best thing. They want to come to Pittsfield. They want to do this job, but they want to do it in Pittsfield. And that just blows me away. And they have responded like that. They can say one thing, but when they react to questions and interact with us, it's apparent that's what they want to do. So we're very excited. And we're really looking forward to wrapping this up. It's going to be an exciting time. So with that, I am all done speaking for the evening. Thank you very much, everyone, for the discourse. It's always the best way to do things. So I will look for a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you all.
So we have executive session.
Not necessary.
It's only if you need it.
We've had, Catherine has been putting that on there, so if we do need it for this town manager transition. Thank you, Tom. Always appreciate it, my friend.